A new system is on its way in the Rise of Kingdoms to limit the number of players that can go from any one kingdom into a KvK. Now, I've got some strong feelings about how this is going to work, so stick around in this video for my thoughts on this major announcement from the developers about the Lost Kingdom queuing system and a little bit of information at the very end about how we get access to equipment a little bit faster. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and today I'm getting a look at this announcement that honestly took me a little bit of time to really understand what's happening, which is why I'm making you this video. So consider subscribing if you haven't already to stay current with the latest and greatest news and information about Rise of Kingdoms. Let's start. In our developer roundtable on KvK matchmaking and in our 15th face-to-face with the developers, we discussed future improvements to KvK matchmaking. We introduced the idea of splitting large kingdoms into smaller sections and made some adjustments based on your feedback. We plan on launching the first Pioneer experience for the new domain feature on January 8th, 2024. Now, to be perfectly honest, I sort of feel like, why make a simple thing complicated? Let's just make it so that kingdoms can only queue with a certain number of people for KvK, and you pick exactly who it is. This has the benefit of making it easier to queue for KvK in terms of knowing the strength of the kingdoms and to find an appropriate match. But let's read what's here and see this domain feature in its sort of full explanation. Number 1, the Lost Kingdom domain introduction. At the start of story registration, if your kingdom has more than 899 active governors with City Hall level 25 in your kingdom, you'll automatically be split into multiple Lost Kingdom domains. Each kingdom can be split into up to 3 domains. Now, each domain will take part in the upcoming Lost Kingdom independently, including matchmaking and actual combat. Domains from the same kingdom will not be placed in the same Lost Kingdom. So what is this doing? It is taking a kingdom that is too big and splitting them up. That's the core idea. Now, why would a kingdom be larger than 899 active governors with City Hall level 25 or higher? Because they have lots of farm accounts. For those that haven't caught on to the meta in Rise of Kingdoms, the reality is that people like to always push the bounds. This is what we do as gamers. This is our job. I mean, some people make it their job anyways, to figure out what the loopholes are and to basically exploit the ever-living heck out of them for their own gain. And the way that this has been going on for literally years now is that people will make dozens and dozens. In fact, people with different levels of repute will brag about the number of farm accounts they have and how powerful they are with all their farms. And they're not wrong, actually. If you have a lot of farm accounts, you can do really silly things. And because all you need is for the captain of the garrison to have a relevant commander combo, you can stuff that garrison or you can stuff that rally with farm troops and do crazy stuff. So this is why kingdoms have more than 899 active governors. It's not really more than 899 main accounts. It's 899 mains plus 6 times as many farms or more, all right? Now, your kingdom's king must appoint regents to manage each Lost Kingdom domain. The king and the regent must create a battle roster for each domain by allocating slots to alliances, who can then assign them to their members. You must receive a slot to fully take part in the Lost Kingdom. The king and the regents can allocate up to 800 slots for each domain. So, a kingdom gets divided into up to 3 domains. Each domain has either the king or a regent leading it, and then you put in a roster of people for that domain, a group of people that will play KvK together. Those people will not end up in the same KvK as another domain from their kingdom. They will be in separate KvKs. Now, at the end of the story registration period, any remaining slots will be automatically assigned to the highest power governors without a slot, and all alliances that haven't been assigned a domain will be assigned to a domain. During this process, it's possible that each domain will end up with a different number of total slots, but no kingdom can have more than 899 slots in a Lost Kingdom. So this is kind of wacky. At the end of the story registration period, any remaining slots will be automatically assigned to the highest power governors without a slot. So kingdom rogues and other people can still get into your domain. So I think a kingdom that's got multiple domains still wants to fill their domain with farms to make sure that they are locking up who's there and they have control of it? Maybe? I don't know. This is a little perplexing to me. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I've read this like 3 or 4 times and I'm still trying to unpack the implications, truthfully. After entering the Lost Kingdom, you can use the domain overview page to view the status of other domains and claim certain camp rewards they've earned. Whoa. You can use the domain overview page to view the status of other domains and claim certain camp rewards they've earned? You can only claim each reward once? So does this mean if your kingdom has multiple domains and only one domain gets the reward, you can claim it from a different one? For kingdoms that haven't been split into domains, their Lost Kingdom battle roster will automatically generated during the registration phase. Right. So if you're not split up into a domain, you don't have to worry about any of this registration stuff. This to me is still confusing. What do I like about this? I like the idea that we can set who we're queuing for KvK with. I don't know why we need a domain system in order to do that. If a kingdom is too big, get wrecked, nerds. I mean, that's how I feel about that. At this point, there actually are not that many kingdoms in the game that are that big. And even the ones that might be close to that big, like 93 and 365, like the only thing they're losing out on is farm filling. They still could probably get every one of their active players into these 800 slots. So I really don't understand the complexity that's being introduced here. I may not be understanding the reason, and I am fully 100% open to that. I'm sure the developers have good reason for doing this. I'm struggling to see why add the complexity of this domain system. Again, it feels to me like they want to let everybody play KvK, but like if you're not in the 800 slots that a kingdom registered for KvK, just find somewhere else to play. Like literally just go to another kingdom. That's what passports are for. My 2 cents. Governor restrictions. If your kingdom has been split into domains, you can only join alliances that are in your domain. Now, this is an interesting one. Presumably, you want to bring all of your farm alliances that you need the shells for in order to drop forts into your domain? This is very complicated. If you've received a slot to take part in the Lost Kingdom, you can only build alliance buildings in your own domain's Lost Kingdom map and can only take part in your own domain's events. All right. If you didn't receive a slot, you will still be assigned to a domain. You'll be notified of which one you're in via mail. You can enter your domain's map, but you won't be able to leave your starting province or build or reinforce map buildings. Oh, that's interesting. So a rogue is still racked, sort of. You also won't be able to attack or rally cities against strongholds or troops belonging to other governors. Oh, no, you definitely get racked. You're basically like completely irrelevant. Like you can enter the KvK, but you can't do anything. So if you don't get a slot, you can still technically enter the KvK to go and gather resources and scout the fog. All right. Pioneer reward. If your city hall is level 25 and you're in a multi-domain kingdom that is taking part in this pioneer experience, you and your kingdom, if you find a match, then you'll receive the pioneer reward, which is a tiny amount of gems and some speed ups and just a tiny amount of stuff. It's a head nod. Thanks for participating. Secondly, to address the issue of Season of Conquest equipment being too hard to make iconic. Ooh, I like this part of the update. As mentioned in the face-to-face with the developers part 17, we plan on making the following changes. This is exciting. We'll be adding new rewards and Crusader achievements to the Season of Conquest Path of Greatness system. The total number of Conquest coins you can earn through the Path of Greatness will be increased by 3. Okay, so we're looking at 3 more Conquest coins. The requirements for earning these rewards will include earning honor, killing enemies, spending crystals, occupying holy sites, etc. So if there's only 3 more of these, but you're going to have to do more than 4 different things here, I think some of these extra Conquest coins will require multiple of these things, like hold a holy site and get some honor points, or hold a holy site and have killed some enemies. I don't know. Something like that. But I'm excited for this. I really hope that these things do not require you to win KvK. I feel like if they add more ways to get Conquest coins just for the winners, they're like really incentivizing winning, which will degrade the quality of KvK because people will just match and ally to win rather than ally for good, fair fights. My 2 cents. We will be increasing the purchase limit of blueprints in the Season of Conquest combat shop. You can now purchase 2 of each blueprint per season. So it is more important than ever to get the conquest coins, which is why it is beyond critical that this change had better reward you whether you win or lose. My 2 cents. Or we're just going to see super lopsided, imbalanced KvKs, which does not make them more fun. We plan on adding legendary quality engineering accessory blueprints to the Season of Conquest combat shop. That's cool. Many people don't know this, and they figure this out the hard way if they actually do go for a ranged march. But the overwhelming majority, I think, of accessories are not compatible with the ranged formation. I think. I don't actually know. I'd need to play around with that some more. But that's certainly what I've been told, that certain things like Ring of Doom and Horn will not trigger, ? I don't know. I haven't done it myself, so I feel a little uncomfortable saying it. We plan on implementing all of the above changes in Season of Conquest Lost Kingdoms that begin after March 5th, 2024. To be perfectly honest with you, as I reflect on these changes, I wish that these were inverted for their timeline of implementation. I really wish that the rewards were added for the January 8th pop, which is what they're doing for this whole new domain system, and that they were waiting a bit to do the domain system until March, right? Like, I wish they were giving us the rewards sooner and mess around with the domain stuff later. I genuinely am not sure what problem is being solved with this domain system. From a player standpoint, trying to understand this without looking at the screenshots of how these interfaces work, which I think would be insanely helpful to me, particularly because I'm a visual learner. So I see a wall of words and I struggle a little bit. But what I would say is I like the idea of tackling the farm meta. I think the farm meta is actually kind of stupid and it's gone way too far. Literally, the kingdom with more farms is it is absolutely massively advantaged. I mean, millions upon millions of troops, billions of power worth of troops can come from farms, and it's totally nuts. Combined with the super toxic fort meta, and it's like really out of control because forts are super easy to fill this way, especially compared to a flag. So, solving the farm problem, I think, is good. Making it so rogues get kind of wrecked, I think, is good. But I still kind of wonder, like, why is this as complicated as it is? Like, why not, instead of having multiple domains, which I don't understand, why not just make it so that you're a kingdom? You queue for KvK as a kingdom. Let's not mess with the identity of a kingdom by having domains within a kingdom, right? I would say a kingdom is a sacred measurement of a group of people. Maintain the sanctity of that. And a kingdom can still only bring 800 accounts into KvK. And that to me feels super reasonable. If you got more than 800 accounts, it's a bunch of farms anyways. And so, like, why? Why do you have to queue with so many farms? I don't know. I mean, that's my 2 cents, man. That's my 2 cents. I think matchmaking will be more balanced. I think KvKs could be more balanced. And weirdly enough, the thing that actually impacts the balance of KvKs more than you would think is this right over here, the rewards. This, to me, will dramatically influence the balance of KvKs. If these rewards are for winners, not for participation, then you're going to see many KvKs go in the direction of being boring, one-sided, we allied to win situations. Because it's just logical. Like, it's actually, at that point, the most logical thing to do. And most kingdoms do not play this game for fights. They fight to get rewards. And I would say, just as a reminder to people, that the overwhelming majority of people that play this game do so for community first, for collection second, and third is actually the fights. Right? I think that's actually the way the overwhelming majority of kingdoms and players prioritize. And the reason that the top tier Imperium kingdoms are fun to watch is because you've tried to collect a group of people that prioritize community first, but then the fighting second, right? Some people may say they prioritize the fighting first and the community second, but I think that's not a good prioritization for a community, probably. I don't know. I mean, I'm shooting from the hip on this one a little bit. I actually think that your average player in this game values collection then community, then fighting. I think your average player is collection number one, right? Like, why else are there's all these non-combatants who soak up a bunch of resources and rewards and don't show up for the fighting because they don't care about their community and they don't actually care about fighting. They just wanted a collection game. And like, this is not the right game for that, but you can play that way. And this new system makes it so you can just exclude those players from your matchmaking instead of having to zero them. Actually, that is another thing this system solves. I know I've gone on a tangent here, but the other thing that this system solves is if you are large enough as a kingdom, you don't have to queue your dead weight. But if you're still small as a kingdom, you still do have to queue your dead weight, which means you need to zero your dead weight, which is a weird thing, right? Like, do you value some definition of community for the people who can't bother to show up, or do you care about the war? Anyways, I've gone on a tangent. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Like I said, I would like to see a more simple system, but it's going to be here on January 8th. So let's see how it works, see what the developers think of it, and we'll go from there, you know? I think that I'm in multiple kingdoms now that could be queuing for January 8th. My restart could be queuing. My main account could be queuing. So I have multiple accounts that might experience this domain system firsthand. Subscribe if you want to see it. And until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom. Check the card in the end screen where we talk about the upcoming changes to forts. If you haven't seen it, that's kind of a big deal.